Please join me in welcoming Ray Bilger.
Thank you. And with that, I will be calling out the bingo numbers tonight. Everyone have their cards and markers? Ready to go. Okay. That's great. Thank you very much, Melanie, for that introduction, because now I don't have to say too much. I'm just going to roll right into this. I'm running because I've been doing this for too long to sit back and watch what's happened to our country continue. And I know that I can do something to make a difference. And I mean that both from a national and international perspective, but also from a local perspective. As Melanie said, I grew up in a blue-collar family, and we didn't have opportunities. You had to make your own opportunities. And what I discovered when I started in my angry tantrum of trying to go around the state and tell people the national security threats that we had facing us now was that all the challenges that I had growing up were still there, and they're everywhere. They're not just in Pleasant Gap. They're all over the 15th Congressional District. You find out that we have 7 of the top 10 poorest counties in the state every single year, and we have the top 2 every year. That should tell you something right there. And this hasn't changed in 40 years. So yeah, I am running to try to stop the corruption and the self-dealing and bring some integrity back to our government. And I don't mean that just from the Republican Party, I mean that across the board, because there's a lot of complicity out there. If you sit back and you allow it to happen, guess what? You're guilty too. It's like the old, the joke, not so much of a joke, but the story that's going around right now, the saying that everybody's going around, if there are 12 Nazis in a room and you go in and they invite you to dinner and you sit down, there are 13 Nazis in the room. And that's really the analogy that we use here, because you're complicit if you let it happen. You should really be standing up and screaming about this every single day. And I think we're all of us, and I think pretty much everybody else around here outside this room feels the same way. We need to do something to change this government. We need to do something to make the government serve the people again. And I've always been taught that you need to stand up for what you believe in. And the only way you can possibly change a system is by getting into it and be part of it, because you can only change it from within. Well, yeah, it's going to be a tough battle, but I actually relish that thought. Right now, the biggest thing is getting in. And after November 3rd, when I'm inside, then the real fun starts. Because that is going to be, trust me, it's going to be a joy. I'm really going to enjoy that. Because we need to have the courage to stand up and tell the people in power that we're sick and tired of it. We know what you're doing. We're sick and tired of it. And it's time this government went back to the ideals that were in that Constitution, and it starts to serve the people, not special interests, not political parties, not any one individual, not any corporation. Citizens United is going to be gone in a heartbeat. We need to tell them that money does not run our country. We run our country. And that's what I aim to do. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions.
Can you address the medical cuts coming after the election, and if Armstrong County Memorial Hospital will potentially close?
According to everything that I read on the way up here, yeah, it's definitely one of those that is in danger of closing. And it's not just that one. We have a healthcare desert across, not just a maternity healthcare desert, but also just a healthcare desert across the northern tier. And I think you guys know that already. It's only going to get worse. And the sad thing about the HR1, the big beautiful bill, is that the overwhelming majority of the cuts are taking place in the poorest counties. As I was looking at Warren County on the way up here, it's a 139% increase already, just since January. Now that's going to be compounded here after the elections. And you look at State College, which is one of the richer counties, and ours is like 54% increase, which is really not that bad by comparison. You look at Cameron County and you see an astronomical increase. I can't even remember what it was, but it was up there. It was probably around 200%. So yeah, I see that happening, and it's a big problem. It's going to take a lot of different ideas to fix it. But one of the things we have to do is we have to restore the funding that we had in place before it started to be stripped away for the tax cuts, which, by the way, according to the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy, 80% of them go to the top 20% of the earners in Pennsylvania, while the bottom 20% earn absolutely 0% of that tax cut. So we need to restore those funds back to where they're supposed to be. And then we can start fixing the bigger problem of our healthcare system, which has been an issue for at least 50 years.
All right, and then also staying with healthcare, how do you feel about single-payer healthcare?
I love the Medicaid for All bill. It looks fantastic. I love it. But since it was not allowed to go to the Finance Committee, we have no idea how it's going to be paid for. If we can find and I think we can find a very practical way to fund that without having to raise taxes and really destroy too much, that would be fantastic. I would love to see Medicare for All. It's been done in other countries, and it works. I've got the scars to prove it, but at least they're scars and I'm still alive.
What are your thoughts on HB 219 to integrate the Israeli military with the U.S. military, and how would you if you were in office?
Well, I can tell you right now that that's in my experienced opinion, because one of the last jobs I had, I actually worked with the Mossad, so I know what they do. I say that as a non-starter. You do not have integrated military with foreign countries in that manner, because, especially Israel, because Israel is absolutely wonderful at intelligence. They have one of the best intelligence agencies in the world. They help us enormously with their intelligence. It fills a lot of gaps for us. But as good as they are, I would honestly not trust them farther than I can throw them. And we have to, and that's not saying Israel's a bad country or anything. That's just from a national security perspective. As someone who spent 35 years in the intelligence community, I can tell you that we have a saying that was ingrained in me since 1986. In God we trust, all others we monitor. And if we do that, you know sure as hell they're doing that too, and I know they do that. So we do not want to give them the keys to the kingdom. That puts our national security at risk. That is an absolutely foolhardy idea.
What are your views on AI centers, and would you support the people's choice? I guess that meaning, I'm assuming that means like in case they didn't want them in their backyards or something.
AI data centers, in my opinion, should be, that permission should happen at the municipality level. That should be a decision at the municipality level. We need to, I think before we even get to that point, we need to rein in the beast that is AI, because it's not regulated. We need to regulate AI. As someone who worked in a national security agency with developing one of our first AI tools back in the early 2000s, we did that inside a box, and I'm glad we did, because we found a lot out. It's very powerful. It was powerful in 2001. It's a lot more powerful now with all the data and the computing power that it's got. We need to first put that in a box. So we need to regulate AI. But the problem we're dealing with the data centers, we're seeing that the venture capital companies that buy up the real estate, that provide it to energy companies and to AI data centers, they go to places, they target places specifically with either no zoning or weak zoning. So that is an issue that has to be dealt with. Every municipality should, all your commissioners should be out there saying, hey, we need, even if they're not coming here, we don't see them coming here, we need to have these zoning laws on the books that specifically address your water usage, your noise, your distance. You can build these things near a settlement, the heat, all the environmental requirements that we have in our Constitution in Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania guarantees us a clean environment. We need to ensure those are enshrined in zoning ordinances at the municipality level. If you do it at the municipality level, then you don't need to worry about the county or the state.
What is your position on members of Congress trading in the stock market?
I wish I could. But yeah, that's again, we go back to fox guarding the hen house thing. No, that should absolutely be banned. As a matter of fact, I'm part of a group called Take Back Congress, and that is one of the main points that we make, among others, with term limits and basically a code of conduct for the Supreme Court, things like that. But that's part of it, the whole thing. No, if you're in Congress, you should either go to Wall Street or go to Congress. Take your pick, but you can't do both, because you make decisions that influence the value of the stocks, and there's insider trading is actually banned. So it's still done, but I don't know how. Definitely need to have better enforcement.
How will you inspire people to vote for you and other Democrats other than only bashing Trump?
I think Trump does a good job bashing himself every day, every time he opens his mouth, so I don't need to do that. I'm trying to, how do I get people to encouraged to vote for me? Just by being myself, and tell people that I'm not as I was mentioning earlier, I'm not here as a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent. I'm here as an American. I'm a combat veteran. I took an oath in 1986. When I left the National Security Agency finally, after 35 years, they debriefed me on my security clearance. They didn't debrief me on my oath. My oath is still in place. And I believe in that. I spent 35 years of my life defending this nation and all the values that are in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And I'm not going to sit by and I'm not going to watch somebody else come out there and destroy it. And I'm sick and tired of, as I said earlier, I'm sick and tired of public servants who don't even know what the word is anymore. It's time that I truly believe that we should be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And I don't care what party you belong to. I think party politics are probably one of the biggest problems we have in our country. It's a way that has been used to divide us instead of unite us. And the way that we unite is by getting rid of the labels. You're not a Democrat, you're not a Republican, you're not an independent, you're an American. And let's just get this done and get back to the business at hand, because we got a lot of things to fix.
What is the first big infrastructure project you want going on in the district?
Cellular service. I can't forget. Yeah, John's laughing because we're trying to make phone calls on the way up here, and I'm like, and that's for like 25 miles. You hear the silence. Cellular service is remarkably simple to fix. And I know that I make comparisons to my times in other countries, and I've seen, I love to use Poland as an example, because my wife was from Poland. I studied there in the Air Force, and my in-laws are there, so I travel there as much as I possibly can, which is not nearly enough in my mind. But I use them as a good example because the wall fell in 1989. I went there first in 1992 to study, and I went all the way down to the southeast near the border with Ukraine. And I was probably, in most places, I was one of the first Americans a lot of people had seen since World War II. So move fast forward to 2 years ago. And I was in Poland, and remember, Nazi occupation, Soviet occupation until 1989. And then the country was wrecked, absolutely wrecked, whenever the Russians left, because they took everything that they could take with them. So it was like having a swarm of locusts come in. Anyway, we're riding our bikes, and we're in very rural Poland, southeastern Poland. We're riding our bikes. Our son calls us up on WhatsApp, and I start talking to him. We're riding for 2 hours throughout the countryside in a lot of places where there's not even a house. And we had an uninterrupted, very clear conversation for that entire 2 hours. Now, we can have that here because it's not hard. And we should have it here. Not just because they have it in Poland, but because we deserve that here. And especially in rural areas like this, because what is the biggest sport up here? What is the biggest income? It's outdoor activities, outdoor recreation, hunting, fishing. And when you're out here and you are out hunting, and because I see it happen, we had 2 hunters die last year just around Center County, around State College, because they were elderly, they fell down, no cell service, and they died. That happens here, I'm sure, far too often. If you don't have cell service, it's a safety issue. And it also is going to hurt the economy, because who's going to be out here hunting when you have no cell service? If something happens, you're out of luck. So yes, improving our cellular infrastructure is number one on that infrastructure issue. And that's an easy fix. I don't have the lottery numbers for tomorrow, if that's one of the questions. If I did, I wouldn't be here. So much for the insider trading.
What would be your dream for the district?
Wow, that's a good question. I like that. I love questions that that push you out of the box and make you think, I would love to see everyone having affordable health care, not having to worry about how to pay for your next utility bill, be able to comfortably live, comfortably take a vacation, and not the vacation that we Americans think of as like a weekend in Ocean City. We're talking a European vacation where you take 2 weeks and go someplace. That's a real vacation. I would love to see and have everybody, as much as possible, obviously, just forget about the division and think more about what unites us. That would be absolutely amazing, because then what problems would we have? We really would be probably the most attractive nation in the world. Comments, criticisms?
I think the first part of my AI question was skipped about the flock cameras. Put them together because
Flock cameras?
they gather all the information.
Yeah, and again, that's one of those things where it's a violation of the Privacy Act of 1974 to do that. We had an issue with, and that came about back in the Nixon era, where I think it was, I can't remember whether it was counter narcotics or the FBI put a tap on a phone booth, back when we had phone booths, and their target made a phone call in there, and of course he was a criminal, but the judge held that he had the expectation of privacy within that phone booth. That is the same expectation of privacy we have out in the streets. So flock cameras are a violation of that act, the Privacy Act of 1974.
You have a big background in security, right?
Yes, 35 years.
I worked in a lot of places where security was real important, and every year we had, let's say, reprogramming, but re-education on our keeping our personal license, everything in our background good, so we can go into these different facilities, rapid transit, chemical plants, all kinds of places. And I understand that some of this is being used to track your histories and then give you a score with the police, or the police can use that to make a score.
And like I said, it's still a violation. I'm not saying it's not being done, I'm just saying it's a violation. I know, because I've had to get warrants for things like that with specific targets, and it has to be from the Attorney General. And by the way, the FAA 702 is actually not even in place anymore because it wasn't signed. So it hasn't been extended. So that's out the window anyway. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't. You'd have to pass 702 again, have to be extended.
And the guy running the flock cameras, we're terrorists if we go against that or try to find out where they're at and everything else. The reason I put that on there about personal, how would you go with us if we all voted for it? There's a city council that
No, it's against the law.
city council that blocked it was kicking them out.
It's against the
and
law.
they stayed in there, and then the city council re-voted on it. And they kept
City council can do whatever they want, and they're going to be held in violation of the law. That's the way it is. Because the law is the law. If you want to change the law, then that's another story. But that's the way, right now, that's the law. That's a violation of privacy. Anyway, I'm sorry, ma'am. Right here.
Oh, I was just wondering, you had mentioned about Israel, you don't think that Israel is necessarily bad.
I didn't say that what I was trying to say in that was that Israel is necessarily bad in that particular instance. I just said that it is foolish. I meant that in the case that it's foolish of us. It is absolutely it's a risk to our national security. It's a threat to national security for us to go into an agreement like that with another country, whether it's Israel or anyone else, but especially Israel.
Do you think that they're committing genocide
Where?
in Palestine?
In Gaza?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Like I said, I know what their capabilities are, and I know what I know what capabilities they have, what some of their sources are, and how accurate they are. Having worked with them, especially in that particular area, and there's no need for bombing places out of existence. They could, in most cases, they could surgically strike if they needed to. And I'm not saying that they didn't have a good goal to begin with. I mean, they had a good reason to go in and do some of those things to begin with, because Hezbollah is definitely a terrorist group, and they got some really nasty people. But you don't punish the entire population for Hezbollah. Yes?
Can you outline your position on reforming immigration with respect to agriculture, asylum, existing immigrants seeking citizenship, dreamers, and in the fact that we need, my position, we need immigrants to come in and go to our institutions like PhD candidates for science areas.
Yeah, actually, I was just reading here on the way up here that just in Pennsylvania, in rural Pennsylvania especially, before the Trump administration started mass deportations, 3 out of 10 people who worked in the healthcare industry across the board, whether that's long-term care, maternity care, doctors, everyone, nurses, 3 in 10 were immigrants. There's actually, this is pretty good timing because Lindsey Graham, for all the bad things that he did, he actually was, I believe he was sponsor or co-sponsor of the bill. It was a bipartisan, very popular bipartisan bill a few years back that did not get passed in the Senate. They refused to vote on it, I believe. And that, the Dreamers Act, and that was a really good bill. I think I don't think anybody really needs to write anything differently. I thought that was great. So if we just resurrect that and get it passed, we've got it. Because it's obvious that, and you see what's going on right now. And I will take this opportunity to bash Glenn Thompson because he deserves it. He voted for the H.R. 1 16 months ago. And part of that was completely destroying the immigration that we had. H-2A, H-2B visas, all that stuff out the window, didn't care. You're in here legally, illegally, you're an immigrant, you're out. He even made comments about, I can remember when some international students at Penn State were getting deported because they had a traffic violation from 2 years ago. And his comments in a newspaper were, they don't respect the law here, they need to go back to their own country, we need to deport them. Well, fine. You can't come out here and then fast forward a week ago and come out and say, well, I just introduced this, co-supported this bipartisan piece of legislation that's going to help us bring back the something. Obviously, everything has America in it with them. We're going to save America with this because we're going to help our farmers. We're going to bring in more H-2A visas. We're going to bring in more immigrants to help the farmers out because the farmers need this help. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to cap the salaries. You're not going to be able to pay these immigrants only up to a certain point. It's going to be less than what they earn now. And they leave open a provision there where the farmers can actually charge them for their housing, for their sustenance and everything else. So you think anybody's going to come here for that? So yeah, I'm going to take that opportunity just to hammer him because that's absolutely stupid. You can't cause the problem and then come back in and say, well, I'm going to help a little bit of it and look at how good I am. No, you caused the problem. You can't take credit for solving it.
I kind of want to follow up a little bit. Have you heard about the Solar Bacon Act yet?
I've heard the name and I don't know what it even has to do with it.
It's horrible.
That was with the treatment of the pigs, right?
It's treatment of the
Yes,
pigs.
yes.
And it just gives nothing but carte blanche for like ConAgra, Smithfield, specifically Smithfield,
Right.
to do whatever they want.
Exactly.
And any kind of, if you have a state that bars you, like California, whatever concerns that California might have about the treatment of their animals, they can't. This bill would completely wipe out.
So it takes away states' rights. No,
Yeah.
in other words. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was all about states' rights.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it depends. It depends on how. Again, this is all situational. As long as it fits the objective of certain individuals, then yeah. And one real quick thing that I forgot to add was that the person who was actually responsible for killing the Dreamers Act, guess who he was? He was a communications aide in, I forget which senator's office. Guess what his name is? Stephen Miller. It was him. He was the one responsible for that.
He might be Jewish, but he's a Nazi.
I have other words for him, but I won't use them here. We're being recorded. Anyone else? Yes.
What would be your 3 top committees to meet?
You know what? Just 3, because somebody else asked me that for the town hall we have later this week. I'm not joking you. I didn't print them up. It's 2 pages long. It really is, because there's so many committees. I'm like, wow. Oversight, just pick anything in oversight, really. Intelligence oversight, agriculture oversight, because there's a lot of security actually in agriculture. And I would take all of them. Judiciary oversight, you just take those. And appropriations, oh man, I would be in appropriations like a heartbeat. Because again, oversight and appropriations in all those areas, energy, you name it. Energy, infrastructure security, cyber security, all that. One of my first jobs when I came back to the agency from the State Department was tech director for cyber analysis at NSA. So yeah, I would jump into any one of those. But it's going to be an oversight role of some sort, or an appropriations role of some sort.
Maybe you'll be able to do subpoenas.
Bingo. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes.
How are you going to approach the deficit with what our needs are? And do you favor us going into debt significantly more to take care of our needs?
The deficit is so deep that there's not one way to solve it. There's going to take a lot of people smarter than me getting together and figuring it out. I can figure out ways to save us money and to help us to pay down the debt with those savings, and it's actually not going to hurt our readiness or anything else. It'll actually make us a lot more efficient. But those are the areas that where I have the expertise, and that's in national security and defense. We can definitely do an enormous amount there. I can save us billions of dollars tomorrow just by reforming the contract program. But it's going to take a lot of different ways to bring it down, because it's gone up over a long time. It's going to take us some time to get it down, but we need to start working on it. And I can definitely be a part of that conversation. Like I said, with defense and intelligence and appropriations, but it's going to take a lot more than me just to do that, because a lot of people dug us this hole. Anyone else? Again? Come on. You only get 3 questions. You're up. This is it. Didn't they tell you when you come in, you get your tickets? You got to buy some more. You have to pay for them, though. You got to pay for them, though. After this, it's $100 a ticket.
Are we better off with our friends and allies now than before Trump?
No. And I can tell you that directly from the horse's mouths, because I've got tons of friends in foreign governments around the world. I can say that now that the security is not over my shoulder. And they've all come out to me and said, what in the hell is the matter with you people? How are you possibly letting this happen? This is insane. I mean, except for some people in Turkey, they understand how it happens because they've seen it happen to their country, and they're in the same boat that we are. And you look at their economy right now, which is one of the world's worst right now, and that's what we're going to be if we don't take care of this. Yes?
What are your thoughts on NATO?
In what sense? Just overall?
Yeah, overall. What are your thoughts?
Overall, I mean, it is absolutely necessary for our protection. It's a mutual defense, not a mutual offense, like some people in this government seem to think they are. They are a mutual defense organization. They help us in more ways than people realize, because the partnerships that we make with these countries go well beyond the military. They go to friendship organizations. They lead to intelligence sharing, which protects our national security in more ways than just being a part of NATO. They lead to economic cooperation. They lead to healthcare cooperation. They lead to, just in general, they actually help us to put forth our foreign diplomacy in areas where we wouldn't necessarily have the ability to do that, just based on relationships. So they're an extraordinarily useful organization.
I mean, being that we've been at war for 93% of the time since World War II, and other countries aren't, we have almost 900 military bases across the world, and other countries don't. What does that say about the United States?
Just because we have the bases doesn't mean they're all manned by us. It's like in England, I was based at RAF Mildenhall, Royal Air Force Base. We operated out of there. Akrotiri in Greece was actually operated by the British, but they let us operate there. So just because we own the base or we're renting the base doesn't mean that it's ours. A lot of these are joint bases. I'm sorry?
Our money goes towards that. Is that necessary?
Not all of it, no. I mean, do I think we need bases everywhere we are? Probably not. But I don't think a lot of these places, we have, I won't say a lot, but some of these places we have bases that when you look at them and you go, wow, what strategic purpose do we have with a base in this location? A lot of the time, it's just we're flying the flag, is what we call it. Just, staking a claim and saying, you know what, we're here just because we're there. It's not necessarily we're protecting ourselves, we're protecting the other countries or the region, just by our presence there.
From what?
From from nations like Russia.
What's Russia doing?
Russia is attacking everyone, basically. Russia is the number...
We did the Maidan coup in 2014. We are the ones that overtook Ukraine. I mean, NATO stepped in.
NATO stepped in,
So Russia
sort of. However, the overwhelming majority of the funding for Ukraine was actually from Europe. You don't hear that here.
Our allies.
Right.
So that's on us and them. They're our allies.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I don't understand why we say we're spreading democracy. In what way?
We shouldn't. I think that spreading democracy, I don't know who coined that term and where, But in my opinion, we shouldn't be spreading democracy. We should, as we're always told in the Foreign Service, if you're overseas, whether you're on a tourist passport or whether you're on a diplomatic passport, you are an ambassador for the United States. And I think I would hope that that's what they mean.
I would hope we would leave sovereign nations alone, but we do not. It doesn't seem that we do.
If we're requested to be there, then that is a national security decision at that point. And in some of these places, this is a tit for tat kind of thing, and there's a lot that we get. I can't go into too much detail, but there's a lot that we get from them from a national security perspective in some of these places. So what may look on the surface like, well, why do we have a base there? Why are we paying for that? We actually are getting a benefit out of that, but you're not going to see it, and you probably never will.
Like, it looks like we're attacking them for their fossil fuels and we're colonizing them, but maybe we're not?
Well, no. Which countries are you talking about? Because we're definitely doing that now. We are definitely doing that now, yes.
We're doing that now?
Yes, and we did it in the past, too, you know. I was involved in a lot of those operations because I had to be. Not necessarily because I agreed with it, but I, again, swore the oath, so you got to do the
Like what
job.
we're doing in Cuba, how do you feel about that?
Well, a blockade is an act of war. A blockade's an act of war. And anytime you go to war, you have to have, well, you're supposed to have, Congress has to approve it. Yet, here we are. We're in the Trump era and rules are thrown out the window. Yeah, I disagree with that entirely. We shouldn't be invading Venezuela. We shouldn't be bombing Iran. We shouldn't be blockading Cuba. We shouldn't be threatening to take over Greenland. That's absolutely insane.
I mean, this has been going on for a long time, decades.
Yes, I know, and I've been inside watching it too, and I've been one of the voices inside saying, you know, I'm not connecting the dots here. I'm afraid I can't say this because.
Stop it. How do we stop all of this? I mean, I'm an anti-war person, obviously.
Yeah, so am I.
How
Been
do
there,
we
done that.
Stop this?
How do we stop it? We've got to get people in power who actually understand. I think if we had more combat veterans in power, we would have far fewer wars. Because no one has been in combat that I know of, unless they're psychopath, is just that's always the last option.